In today's episode, we're going to talk about generative ambient music, which is music that is programmed to be randomly generated by itself, paying particular attention to two devices, random and probability. Let's have a look. Okay, so here we have our demo song. I'm going to play and quickly show you what I've placed, and then we will go through it. So, this is the generative ambient song that I prepared today. And as you can tell straight away, I placed a lot of stuff in all the channels. There is a lot of automation. There is a lot of LFO, a lot of launch clip, random chord, probability devices. So the two main things that we're gonna see, it's the CF probability gate, which you can download on Max for Live for free. I'll put the link in the description. I use the normal chord generator, where I made the previously tutorials. Then I use this really very nice thing called Tombola, and I'm gonna explain that later a little bit more. And basically a lot of automation of LFO that is moving the knobs and the value of a lot of devices. Okay, so let's now mute all the channel, and I'll go with one by one so that we're not gonna get lost in this maze. So the first one, it's a pad loop that I really liked, and is basically loaded with two auto filter device with an LFO that is actually moving and doing this left and right, cutting off the low frequencies and cutting off the high frequencies. If I remove them, it just plays like this. But with the auto filter, sometimes this sound will disappear, sometimes will appear. And I also placed an echo device to give a little bit of reverb-ish. And also, I have to mention, I forgot that my Ableton project has 5 returns with different types of delay, different types of reverb, different types of, even short reverb. Now let's go with the second channel. The second channel, it's another loop. It's called Alien Feedback, and I just found it on Soundly when I was working on a sound design for a film. And it's a sort of dusty dark dub pad. And in this case, I automate the clip volume so that, and I also repeated this loop. This loop initially this loop was, I think, 8 bars. I just duplicate it and put all together and consolidate it to have like a really big chunk of a bar. And I have this playing from time to time, not always. And it's also loaded with an auto filter with an amount that is removing the high frequencies. The third one, so now we are going to the MIDI territory. So this is a Norman chord generator attached to a wavetable. So if there is also the probability. So I will remove the probability first and just play the normal chord generator. So the normal chord generator, it's a chord device, but it's one step up from the chord device of Ableton Live, the stock plugin, because this one can generate much more complex chord. And again, there is a tutorial in my channel with this one. There are many other tutorials on YouTube about this wonderful device. So you can generate a lot of chords, but moreover, you can randomize the selection of the chord, the inversion, the sustaining, and the disposition. So if I'm gonna press only C, so I'm only pressing the C note, and it's always changing it. So it's going to develop a lot of different chords for me every time it's pressed. And it's attached to a scale plugin. which is on C minor. The whole song is on C minor. The probability plugin. So now it's set on 44% probability that when I hit the note, it will be played. So now, as you can see here, the MIDI signal incoming, it's not always playing, but sometimes yes, because it's on 44%. If I place this on 81%, it plays most of the time. If I place on 100%, it will play always, because it's like switch off the machine, because it's always playing. If I put it on 10%, there will be many times of silence. So let's put it back on 43 that it was before. So that means that every time this loop is playing, this MIDI note is playing, it's not always picked up by the probability. So that means that the probability of the loop effect will be fading out. And that's what I want in this song. Now we have here Spitfire Audio Labs choir. So this is a beautiful choir, basically. And again, normal chord generator with some random selection, a C minor scale plugin, and a random device as well in between the C minor scale and the normal chord generator. So that is giving me furthermore random. And I have also a limiter because I want the sound to not to jump out, because this sound particularly, when you hold press a note, it will rise up. And the probability on 48%, so that it's not always playing, as you can tell here. And this is a bar, this is 11.3 bar. The reason this bar, it's not perfectly mathematical, for example, 4, 8, 16, 32, but I put this per number instead. It's because I want the loop to be irregular as much as possible. Because, as I mentioned before, I want this song to be the less loop feeling. So here we have a massive bass line, so I'm going to remove the probability. It's attached with a random riff generator, which made up this nice loop in arpeggio with a C minor, and it's loaded with an auto filter, well, two auto filter that has the low cut and high cut. If I remove it, it will play like this. But with the auto cut, sometimes it's cutting off the high frequencies, sometimes it's cutting off the low frequencies. Then I have an LFO that is controlling the auto pan. And also I have an LFO that is controlling the width of the sound. So sometimes it's in stereo, sometimes it's in mono. I wanted to have this sound being in stereo and then going back to mono and vice versa. And obviously most of the sounds are connected to my trusted returns, which gives me those more depth and ethereal sort of feeling. Then I have here a snowpad bass, which is a Ableton stock plugin, but it has a really good sound that I use a lot of time. So I'm gonna remove the probability plugin. There is a normal chord generator. This time it doesn't have much automation or much randomization. And I have the auto filter again playing with the low cut filtering and high pass filtering, moving all the time left and right, and then auto pan at the end. So this sound and a huge reverb from outer space, which is a Max for Live reverb. Well, I will put also in the description. I will put the description of all the devices that I'm using today. And obviously the probability on 37%. So it's even less than before. It's 37%. So sometimes it's playing, sometimes not. And this particular snowpad bass audio clip, well, MIDI clip, has a launch clip function. So when I'm pressing one, it's gonna press the other one at the end of this one. And when I press this one, it's gonna play the other one. So those two are two different notes. And they have irregular length, actually. Not here, but I will put it here. The next sound, it's a snowpad. It's a snowpad stock plugin of Ableton. Let's just play without the probability. Norman chord generator with the random inversion only. There is a probability on 37%, obviously, but I just put it off now to just to show you how this sound is sounding. Two auto filters. And then here, a very cool thing, there is an ML distance. So I've done a tutorial on ML distance where you can watch here. But this ML distance, it's a new version and it has a Doppler effect. So I map an LFO to the pan. And every time it's passing from the left to the right, it's doing this sort of Blade Runner Vangelis synth. So, and I really like this to be happening with the probability on 37%, like the one before. So those two sounds are quite similar. One is more low and the other one is more on a high pitch. Next we have chimes. So this is a sample library of chimes that were sounding in C minor. And I have placed an echo plugin, a reverb plugin to add depth and also the usual return channels as well. And here I set up a bit repeater with 5 LFO. So as you can hear the sound that is playing, the bit repeater, it's randomly cherry picking a moment with this loop, and it will repeat it. Because there is a lot of movement, it's not always playing, it's not always picking up and repeating it. That is because the grid is always moving. So it's maybe repeating it every now and then, and that's what I want. And also I have an auto filter that is cutting off the high frequencies and putting them back, so that this sound, it's not always present, but it's playing from time to time. And in here I have again ML distance Doppler that is doing the same job that he was doing on the previous sound, is doing the Doppler when it's passing from left to right. And I also added a Valhalla Supermassive to give really, really big ominous reverb tail from the sound. Yeah, so this is basically a very long recording of chimes. And that's why I like to put the auto filter, because I want it to be not always present. After the first chimes, we have the left chimes. So the left chimes, it's programmed to be the same as the other chime, but it's a different sound of the chime. So we have the bit repeater that is doing the same job as the other one. We have an auto filter this time that is cutting off the low frequencies, and another one that is cutting off the high frequencies and then moving around all the time. I have a track panning set to left, but is only exploring the left side of the channel. So it's from extreme panning to not so extreme, and is always moving. And then we have on the next channel the right chimes. So this is only on the right side. So these chimes, echo, reverb, with the bit repeater with the same function as before, auto filter, and track panning for the right side from extreme to little. So those three chimes, basically, they function together. One is in the middle, one is on the left, and one is on the right. And actually, to be more correct, let's put the one in the middle in the middle. Okay. Now next, I have an absinthe. This absinthe, let's remove the probability, because obviously there is always a probability in most of the MIDI channels. So it's a fifth chord played with a C minor scale. And with an echo plugin and some other compression and saturation that I'm not going to show you because that would be too much. With an auto filter as well that is cutting off the high frequencies and moving as well. So in this case, I have this loop that is playing. And because I inserted the probability gate, every time is not always playing the note as expected. Yeah, it's really... So, and that's what I really want. I want this to be playing every now and then. That is what is going to cause this very generative ambient long piece, because it's not always looped. So now here on the other channel, I have a drum rack full of Rhodes. In particular, C minor sounding Rhodes. And I've choose for this project the most significant Rhodes, we can say. There is no probability here, but there is a big clip launch happening. So when I play one, it's playing another one. When I press this one, it's playing this one. So the white one without name have a Rhodes inside. The empty one are empty. So every time the clip is finishing, it's going to choose another one randomly. And sometimes it's going to play an empty one. Sometimes it's going to play one with a song. Sometimes empty one. Sometimes again an empty one. It will choose by itself. And just to give you the context of the Rhodes, so this is one. This is a second. I choose those sounds of Rhodes because I felt they were the most appropriate for this purpose. And again, in the effect section, I have an auto filter. Most of the time I put an auto filter for low pass and high pass cutting and always moving, and an auto pan. Next one, this is a quite interesting one. So this one is a complete control of with the rounds. Rounds is a VST from complete that it's playing. Let's remove the probability. So it's generating sounds with this really, really nice looking device from Max for Live called Tombola. And basically this Tombola is connected to a Max for Live that is changing the shape every time. But if I want to just change the shape by myself, so this Tombola, it's called Tombola because Tombola, it's basically this. It's this game where you put a lot of cards and you have to pick one to find the winner. And so this Tombola has a lot of function. I'm not going to go through all of them, but it's really, really cool. And every time the balls are hitting the walls of the Tombola, something is happening. So the sound is triggered. I put my probability on 9%. I want this sound to play only a few times, not always. And is again connected with an auto pan, an auto filter, cutting the high frequencies and feeding on a return. So you see, it's not always playing sometime, and I like that is that really sometime. Okay, so moving on to the next sound, this is an operator. Let's remove the probability and play the sound. This sound, it's from an operator, and this operator is packed with a lot of effect that gives this really, really texture sound. And I made a tutorial to get this sort of sound. On my channel, there is a tutorial here where you can go and check. And it talks about how to make this kind of sound with the operator. So again, it's connected with the C minor scale, and there is a probability of 20%. And here I play some notes, and there is a bar that is very, very long of 51.4 bar, and I play the MIDI. And obviously, because my probability is set on 20%, it will be playing the MIDI notes just very rarely. So again, and this sound also, it's very, has a lot of deep, long feedback delay, and that's what I like. And it's connected with this. Now, with the last sound, this one is a vocal sample, and it's from Akira Yamaoka, Lost Carol. And I like the sample because I'm a big fan of Burial, and I know that one song of Burial was containing this sample, and I just took it. So let's just play the sample without any effect. And I connected with reverbs. Okay, you get the idea. Very beautiful sample, very beautiful voice. So I have 4 clips which are connected with the launch clip. So every time one clip is playing, it's going to play the other one at the end. And all of them have different automation of clip volume inside, so that the volume, it's not always there, but sometime. And moreover, I have auto filters, which are automated with the movement. And I have also an auto pan that is also connected with an LFO, so that is doing this kind of left and right very, very fast and then very slow, like a serpentine sort of sound. So let's just play and see how it sounds. And it's not going to sound always, but sometime. And that's, again, the purpose of this demonstration, is to be sometime showing this stuff. So it's just a really subtle touch. Okay. So those 15 channel, all together, they tell a story. So let's play the first one and see what we can do. I'm gonna just play one by one, and as I'm playing one by one, you'll see the things are taking shape. And the reason I was placing those irregular bars and not mathematically with pair numbers, but unpaired numbers, is because I want each of those loops to be irregular within each other. And I also, the reason there is a lot of random probability, it's because I want those notes to play sometime and not always, so that you have a sort of impression that there is an orchestra playing, and they are not playing on a loop, they are playing on different intervals within each other. And then the usual returns, which are connected to all of them. So one is a long reverb, one is a short reverb to give a bit of opening of the stereo width, a dark reverb, which is basically removes all the brightness from the reverbs, and normal, quote unquote, normal delay, and echo plugin, which is filtering out the sound. And then in the master, I have my usual chain, and I found also this very cute device, is a volume meter that is telling me about the left and right channel, the mid sounds, and the side one. And I really like to have it in the master just to give me furthermore view of the left and the right, and also the amount of energy in the mid section, which is the mono one, and the sides and the left and right. So yeah, this is the generative ambient music demonstration. And for someone that maybe is not very familiar with Ableton, this might be looking a little bit intimidating because there is a lot to take. But in reality, it's not very difficult. It's not much more difficult than programming or, programming synthesizer or a modular synthesizer. It's a matter of knowing the program, and it's a matter to know where to find those magic devices that makes things possible the way I set up now. So I will put the link of all the devices that I've used in this video in the description. And some of them are for free. Some of them you have to pay a donation, and it's always good to support the creator in what they're doing. And if you have any comment, question about this demonstration, let me know in the comments. And thank you for watching, and see you on the next one.